put this up on the screen then. I don't think so. Can you? Is that working now? Can I hear you?
Can you hear me?
Hello?
Let me see if I'm muted somehow.
Okay, now you're coming in, I think.
Am I coming in?
Hello?
Hello?
There we are.
I just need to talk really loud, I guess.
Yeah, well, if you guys could, let's not have all the shoutingness.
So Nate's running just a couple minutes late.
Okay, now you're cutting out again. Okay. Okay, well, do you want to get started introducing yourself?
Yeah. So can you guys hear me? Can you hear me?
Let me turn this around for you. This is my Com 410 Research Methods class.
Hi, everyone.
Waving it to you from Cal State Fullerton.
Awesome. Nice to
Can
meet
everyone
you.
hear her okay? Yeah, it's coming through? Okay. Great. And then, so Emily, why don't you introduce yourself and mention how you got started working with Walker?
Yeah, sure. So hi, everybody. I'm Emily. So the concept for Walker started because I had decided to quit corporate America and start my own dog walking business, which was kind of a crazy decision, but I did the math and I figured out I could live on it. So when I was doing that, I realized I didn't have a really good tool to manage my daily business. So as a dog walker, you're on the go constantly. I was in my car, I was picking up 4 dogs at a time, taking them on hour-long hikes, dropping them off, and then picking up the next pack of dogs. Also doing solo walks, and then doing dog sitting. So there's a lot of kind of client management, route management, and then knowing a lot about the dogs. So one thing I learned when I became a dog walker is there's actually some skill involved. It's not just being able to like hold a leash. I actually do classes. Each dog is kind of unique. You have some dogs that will be aggressive towards homeless people. Then you have some dogs that will be, scared of big dogs or fluffy dogs. So pack management, all that good stuff. So keeping notes about the special habits of dogs was really important, especially when I started to get employees underneath me. So my fiance, Nate, who will be joining the call as soon as he can, he's running late at a meeting. He is a senior product manager. So he has experience specifically creating mobile apps for iPhone. So he said, I want to learn how to code myself. So why don't we get started on this? So it really started from a need on my part. I was very involved in the San Francisco dog walking community. And when I started showing other dog walkers it, they said, hey, I would love to download that. I could really use that too. And so we put it out there in the market and quickly got feedback that there was a need, that they wanted to see more beyond kind of our expertise, at which point is then when we brought on a developer and a designer. So the current app that you see out there, we're actually working on a rebrand of it. So with the designer on board, we'll be putting that out there soon. So it's a quick overview of how I got into dog walking and then how we started the app, really from a need that I couldn't fulfill inexpensively. You can survive being a dog walker, but you can't spend a ton of money on your business. So yeah.
Okay, so what would you say some of the principal concerns facing dog walkers in the daily management of their business are?
Yeah, I think keeping track of your walks gets tricky. So clients will cancel last minute, or they'll ask for an extra walk or need to change the time. So really keeping track of what dogs are being walked, and again, especially when you start having other dog walkers under you, was really a challenge. Keeping an easy calendar where you had quick access to your client's information. Again, time is of the essence. The more dogs that I can pick up and walk, the more money I'm going to make. So being able to do that quickly and on the go was essential. Using the Google Calendar wasn't quite doing it for me. I needed more information about what that could provide. The other big thing is that even we're not there yet with the app, but for bill management. So right now, most dog walkers are still using Excel to manage kind of their walks and how they then bill their customers. And customers these days, they don't want to do that. They want something a little bit more quicker, easier, pay electronically, or why can't I just go in a system and tell you, put what walks I need instead of emailing it to you and ensuring you got that. So that was part of the impetus for doing that too, and the struggles that dog walkers face as well.
Okay, could you provide a little bit of a breakdown of who the dog walkers that you met are? We've got a bit of your history and involvement with Walker, but what else can you say about the people you've met?
It was a wide range. I think you have the ad hoc people who are doing this kind of part-time, like they're just wanting to, make some extra cash. By the way, kids, sorry, not kids, students, you can get like $25 for walking a dog for half hour a day. So something to consider if you're wanting to make some extra cash. But the people who had thriving businesses year over year they really treated it like a business. One person I knew, she had her PhD, was working for a non-for-profit, loved animals, has a passion for them, and realized she could make more money dog walking. I knew a couple lawyers who quit their job and started a very large dog walking business with a lot of employees underneath, but they ended up saying, they claimed they made more money doing that than they did as lawyers. Whether or not that's true, I have my doubts. But then you also have people who maybe were, wanting to pursue something on the side or going to school part-time, but needing to kind of get that extra income in the meantime. I would say, surprisingly, I thought they would be crazier than they were, but I think you are needing to be pretty professional because you're meeting clients, entering their homes when they are not there, and taking care of, a lot of times, what people treat as like their child, right? It's their dog, and they're crazy about their dog and want to know how many times the dog pooped on the walk, you know what I mean? So they have to be able to trust you as well with their dog. So yeah, so kind of all walks of life, all ages as well. There were some, a 70-year-old couple that was walking it. But I would say not the tech savviest of groups for the most part, and kind of people that like to be under the radar a little bit, a little skeptical of the establishment. That could also just be San Francisco in general, but I seem to come across that quite a bit, even in reaching out to other people in other locations.
Okay, any questions from the class right now? Anything that jumps to mind? Yeah.
So I was just, in looking at different apps that are out right now, kind of that would connect to Walker, I noticed that there's a lot of technology out there already where you could link, like you said, there was those last minute changes that happened, and I noticed that it could be really helpful if there could be like implementation to where if there was last minute changes, the client could also have the app, so they're using it and the dog walker is using it, and then they're linking those changes that might be made. And so I was just wondering, as far as like the company goes, do you guys have kind of a set point of like changing and going towards kind of implementing the app in other ways, like besides just the scheduling aspect of it?
Yeah, so I think if I heard your question correctly, you were wondering if we plan on interfacing with the client and maybe getting to the bill payment. Yes. Absolutely. Forward-looking plans. So we all have full-time jobs now. So I'm back in corporate America, unfortunately. So this is a side project for us, but we hope to grow it. And with the team that we have now, we're getting a lot more done. So yeah, absolutely. I think that's the end goal. So when you guys are thinking about your project, our current customer that we're focused on right now is the dog walker, but eventually we do want to interface with the customer too. And they're the people that have more disposable income. As I mentioned, dog walkers, yeah, you can make a living, but you're not exactly living the high life. Whereas somebody willing to spend $25 a day to have their dog walked might have a little bit more disposable income too. I think Nate might be trying to join, so let me just look real quick. Oh yeah, he needs the link.
Okay, I thought I sent that. Hang on.
You did. He must have not seen it.
Okay, how do I do it? There. Wait, how do I then send it to Nathan?
Send it. You know what? He texts. Can you message it to me and I'll message it to him?
Okay, like from Gmail?
Yay, technology.
It's going to make everything so much better, always. Okay, I think that should work.
Okay.
Unless I think I sent it to his Gmail account. Now I can't get the
He should
video
be.
embed thing down.
Okay.
There it is. All right. So, while Nathan tries to load, I was wondering if you could also, building off of the previous question, talk about where you see Walker heading. What's your situation right now? You mentioned that you had just brought on 2 new team members. And so if you could just kind of talk about where Walker is and where you guys see it heading, that'd be great.
Yeah, so oh, he can only watch and hear me talking. Huh. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, well, I'll talk while you play with that, Christy. So so Walker right now is really a kind of a calendar of client management. So we just have tools in there, kind of shortcuts that you can use to communicate with your clients, store your client information, and then kind of use it as a daily like schedule for your walks. In the future, I think we want to incorporate bill payment with that so that they can easily bill their clients out of the app, as well as interface with the client. So what that might look like, we're still determining. But I think for me as a client, being able to see when my dog is picked up, when they're dropped off, I love to get pictures, I'd love to get pictures of the dog, being able to easily schedule with the dog walkers. Potentially there could be a marketplace involved as well. Like how do you go about finding a dog walker that you can trust? So things like that are all potential for the app. I think, our ultimate goal is really to have it as being something that's indispensable for both the dog, a tool that's really kind of both indispensable for the dog walker and the dog owner. So they kind of see it as something that they would hate to lose, in which case then people might be actually willing to spend some money to keep it. So really integrating it into their life.
Okay, and so, so that gives you guys a sense of sort of who the team is and where they're at. I know that you're launching a redesign soon. Do you want to talk about that, or do you want to wait for Nathan to get on?
Yeah, so the redesign is kind of with our designer, like Nate and I were mainly Nate was the one that designed the current app. He is not a designer. So it's good for someone who's not a designer. But when we got Dan Hess on board, he's really been able to take it to the next level. It's a lot cleaner, simpler, more user-friendly, more customer experience focused. So I think that'll also make it kind of a unique experience for the dog walker. And it's all very customized for that dog walker. So tells me nobody is there. Hold on, let me see if I can get Nate on here real quick. I don't have the ability to invite anybody.
Oh, you don't? Shoot.
Yeah, so Chrissy, if at the top bar, there should be a person with a little plus sign.
Yeah, I've done that. I've been sending it.
Okay, well, Nate might not be able to join, unfortunately. So Nate, yeah, like I said,
Zach.NathanJ, right?
Yeah, at gmail.com.
Try it again. Did I somehow accidentally close it?
No, because you guys see me.
Right, I was wondering if maybe I made it like, no, because you were able to call in. Okay, well, we can continue and then hopefully he can, he'll be able to log in. I don't really know what else to do.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so what are some other questions that you guys might have?
I think that the backstory is like, it's cute and relevant, but it could go further. Maybe if we had more details and be part of like the unique branding of Walker that will differentiate it from like other apps that are similar. So I was wondering if like maybe she could expand on like the backstory or like provide more details like or what makes Walker different than like WAG or some of the other or even like Uber.
Yeah, so WAG is like you said, it's that Uber model, right? So it's that on-demand dog walking. This is more of a interface for existing businesses to manage their clients and for that client to enhance that client relationship. So WAG is actually pretty controversial in the dog walking community for a number of reasons. One, they don't really monitor who they're having walk the dogs. So they may not have training. There's been stories of dogs coming back very fearful, possibly having been abused. So it's a very different model than what we're doing. We're not trying to get people to schedule walks for people's dogs ourselves. We're enabling current dog walkers to have a better business with their client. There is an app out there that called Pocket Suite. I would say that's more of in line with what we're going after. So Pocket Suite though is very generalized. So it could be for construction workers, for handymen, for plumbers, for whereas this though, we're going after a very niche market to make an app specifically for that niche client, the dog walkers, so that it's designed with them in mind, because each business is unique. So having that design in mind gives an edge in that specific community over like a Pocket Suite, which is broader. So that means that we have a smaller market, but we could be the bigger player eventually in that small market, is that idea that we have behind it. And then the Whistle and like the FitBark are like more actual devices for tracking your dog that doesn't have much to do actually with the dog walker.
So the walker, like the walker for walker, that sounds so weird, needs to has a history kind of like already proving themselves as like appropriate for this job. They can't be like newbies, basically.
Yeah, they could be newbies. In San Francisco, you have to get licensed. If you're going to be walking more than 3 dogs at a time, you actually have to have training licensed. So we're not monitoring who's downloading the app and using it. But I would think someone who's not very serious about the business probably won't use the app for long, because they won't have a need to. If you're walking one dog a day, it doesn't really, you don't need that scheduling. Does that make sense?
Okay, and so the app is kind of optimized for people who are doing multiple walks and or walking dogs in packs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, did you have a follow-up?
Yeah, I just feel like the lack of verification of who's downloading the app, like in today's time, might work against Walker. I mean, I understand like allowing that flexibility and like, assuming that most people who will use the app are probably already highly qualified walkers, but like I feel like there should be like a collaboration between Walker and like some kind of like security background check agency that can make sure that the people, like, I mean, if they want to report a complaint, you're going to need their background information for you.
So I think there's a difference between what you're talking about, and maybe there's some confusion over how we actually interact with the dog walkers. So we don't employ the dog walkers, and we don't find clients for the dog walkers. So dog walkers are out finding their own clients. Now, eventually, if we were to do a marketplace type of situation, then that's when you'd want to think about bringing in kind of background checks. Right now, though, based on how the app works functionally, they're downloading it to run their own business. So it's like you using
like Facebook
calendar to schedule your day. Do you see what I'm saying? And legally, right now, since we don't employ them, we couldn't really even ask for a background check.
Right, and so people have been able to download the app from the iTunes store onto your iPads, and so they don't necessarily know, that like we've downloaded it perhaps, but you might not know who in particular. Right,
and walkers, like I don't think the dog walkers are going out saying, oh, I'm on the Walker app and using, like that's not going to get them clients because we don't certify them. So it's not a tool dog walkers are using to get clients. Now, but if we were to do that in the future, I absolutely agree there would be some need to, if we're vouching in any way for that particular dog walker, there would need to be some type of check on it.
Okay.
So if I'm understanding correctly, the community of people that's primarily downloading the app is just the dog walkers, not dog owners, correct?
Correct. Okay. Yeah, right now it does not interface with the dog owners.
Okay, so the dog walkers that use this app have their clients of their own and they do all the interacting with the dog owners on a personal basis?
Exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, those are good questions. I know it's confusing. We're just not there yet at all.
Are you able to track like what areas are downloading it the most?
We are. I'm going to see if maybe we can get that over to you guys. It's actually it's mainly cities for sure. We actually have quite a few people downloading though. Maybe not quite a few. It's just surprising to see it at all. Australia and London. And we even had someone in like the Ukraine or something, or Poland, I think it was. So it's around the world right now. But cities are the more popular areas for sure. There are dog walkers, in suburbs too. But I think when you have people in cities, it's higher volume of dogs in a smaller space, which optimizes you being able to walk more dogs in a day, which makes being a dog walker a little bit more feasible to actually live off of.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I noticed that the app is free for right now. Do you plan to make it like a monthly subscription or maintain it free? Or are you guys planning to or are you guys planning to put advertisements to gain money for the Walker app?
Yeah, we're still figuring that out. I mean, to be honest, right now, we don't feel like we have a product that is quite useful enough to warrant people paying for it. But eventually when it becomes something, like I was saying, that becomes almost indispensable in how they manage their business, then yeah, we want to figure out how do we actually make money on it. And one thing to think about is it really the dog owner or the dog walker, or can we somehow put that cost on the dog owner? Because the dog owners have one source of income as opposed to the dog walker. Or will it always be the dog walker that would have to be the one paying? And what would that look like?
So the question that I was wondering about after someone had asked what areas is it most used in, are there exterior factors like weather or stuff like that affects the time of the year when the app is being used most? So for cities where they have extreme weather, do people just stop using the app when it gets cold outside, or how does that work?
That's a great point that, to be honest, I haven't looked at, so we should look at that.
Something to think about when we have that data from them.
Yeah, so if you're outside in Chicago time, right, in the middle of the winter, you might use it when you're in your car or you're actually in the person's place picking up the dog. But would you want to be using it when you're walking outside? Probably not.
Yeah, and then I was just wondering if, let's say in areas like Chicago where it gets super cold and stuff during the winter, if you were trying to boost engagement in areas where the weather is more mild or something like that. So
yeah. Something to think about.
Oh.
Ah, great.
Oh, did it work?
Hey guys, sorry about that.
So why don't we take this next question and then we'll let Nathan introduce himself and explain his role in the project.
I just have a general question. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
Okay. I was thinking, because, you said, as
Oh, no, we lost you.
managing their schedule, they can maybe send some kind of
Okay, I've got Nathan up.
Yeah, it looks like you guys may have froze.
Okay.
Oh.
But it froze. Nate, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can
hear you now.
hear you now.
Okay. All right.
What was the question?
Can you hear me? Let me just come up here.
Yeah, just come and speak to the laptop.
Type it too.
So my question is just like a general thought. You guys expressed can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
You guys expressed how dog walkers and the relationship with the dog owners who trust the dog walkers is kind of like a child for them, so you have to be pretty responsible. Have you guys considered maybe like trying to integrate some kind of like a social feature available within the management application? Maybe like like when parents get a packet about how their kid's doing, something like that, something that would help like foster a good relationship between the dog walker and the client.
Yeah, and I think there's definitely a ton of opportunity for that. I mean, I think that's one of the things that we're trying to figure out with the app is how do we create something that's sticky and a way for people to come back to the app more so than they do today. I mean, if you think about any schedule or any thing that you do on a regular basis, you tend to kind of remember it after a while.
Yeah.
And so if that's all we're providing, then that only gets us part of the way. So definitely doing like any type of social interaction or any way for dog walkers to share tips and tricks. I think that would be a great idea. It's just one more reason that people wouldn't want to leave Walker.
Cool.
Yeah, so when I had my dog business, I had a blog that I was posting constantly on, like dog tips. I also had a weekly newsletter that I was sending out to my clients about how their dog did on their walk, and I would integrate pictures into it, and then dog, like a tip of the week or something, like watch out for the crazy grass that'll get stuck in your dog's paws. But anything that could make that easier and that communication flow better and be simpler would be, I think, a great help to the dog walkers too. And for the client, they love that kind of stuff.
So I just had a question about kind of, again, looking like forward. With the app and what I've looked at it so far, now on Android, so I can't really test it out or anything, so it might be a little bit different. But what I've looked at so far, it seems like the app, like I actually like how it's set up rather than the default schedulers on Android or Apple. Just because those, once you start scheduling, things can get like pretty jumbled up and everything's kind of just compressed. And so I had because of looking at who dog walkers generally are, most of them are students, and also have other stuff they need to schedule. Would you guys like have that thought in mind of implementing a way where, kind of in the way how like you choose dogs, like click on them and then they have like 1 dog, 2 dogs, or however many dogs, and then you click on that dog and the information pops up for that day and how you're scheduling it? Would you implement that towards using it as a way to, like, you click a bubble and maybe that's for your dog walking, and then but also thinking of the dog walker as a whole? If that dog walker is a student, maybe they could also, on that same app, so that they don't have to use multiple ones, click a bubble, and then that would be for like your classes. So that would be like a little student bubble, or click a bubble, and then that would be for maybe their work schedules or something else, and have it so that way it's still a dog walking like towards them, but it's also more catered to their needs that pertain to the business as a whole. So that way they can have it scheduled out more seamlessly, and then it's more integrated into their lives, kind of, so they don't have to go to another one. Does that make sense?
A little.
Yeah, no, I think I get what you're getting at, like having an app that beyond their business could also integrate their personal life a little bit more, so not having to use other tools to manage both.
Yes. But like,
That's not big.
But would that be something that you guys would take into consideration? Just because the UI right now seems pretty seamless, so it seems like that would be kind of a way ahead of other scheduling apps, like, and organizational apps, and that would be a way to stick it to that. Let's call it that dog walker and their needs.
Yes, the question is, would we consider it? Yeah, I mean, it's something that we haven't considered, but it's something that could expand the use of the app eventually a lot. So I wouldn't say that we wouldn't consider it for sure. Nate, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, so are you talking about using the app as like multiple tools? Is that what you were describing with the bubbles?
Yeah, like using it kind of as organizing what the dog walker just does on top of his dog walking business, his dog walking business.
So you're thinking, for example, if somebody has a doctor's appointment Friday at 2, can they schedule that into Walker?
Yeah, like.
So they'd know to.
Now I see what you're getting at. Yeah, so I think, so one of the things that we kind of focused on when we were developing the app was that, sometimes, people's personal calendars and their work calendars, sometimes they can get cluttered. So what we wanted to do was kind of create kind of an all-encompassing, app that kind of kept some of those things separated. But I could definitely see, if maybe we just really nailed the calendar and people want to use it for all their stuff, I could definitely see us incorporating more into that calendar so they could see how it lines up with kind of all their other events for the day, for sure.
Okay, question in the back, and then we'll go in a round robin.
So, I don't know if any of the students already asked this yet, but like, how do you guys primarily market or advertise to the dog walkers and stuff? Are you guys primarily using social media? And you guys are startups, so I'm guessing there's no, TV ads or whatever. So how are you guys primarily, advertising?
Yeah. So kind of where we're at in the process is when I built the first version of the app, it was really very crude and it was really just kind of an advanced address book, and it was actually customized only to Emily's dogs. But eventually we found out that there was kind of more of a need, at least in San Francisco, we heard that people were interested in it. So that's when I decided to make it, customizable for anybody that was walking dogs. And then we've kind of taken it to the next level with the calendar. So what we're really trying to do right now is get it to a point where we can kind of, like all these little things are little experiments that we basically run on customers to try to figure out what they want and what they don't want, before we really invest any money or time in like actively going out and trying to get new clients. So we're feeling pretty good about it right now, and I think what we want to do is get it to a point where if we spend the time or the money to actually go out and get more people, that we've already kind of validated a lot of our assumptions. So I think what we haven't spent any money or we haven't done any big marketing pushes. One of the things that we could easily do is we could just start calling dog walkers. I mean, doesn't scale very easily, but it's an inexpensive way to actually get the word out there. So everything that we've gotten to this point has been organic, which is actually super cool to see that it consistently grows. We see about 10, 15 downloads a day, and we don't do anything. So it's pretty shocking to see that there is a need, that people are out there kind of searching. And we don't even come up first in the list in the App Store. So people are, eagerly looking through, and the screenshots, they seem to appeal to people. So that's pretty neat. So once we kind of start investing in marketing, I hope to see it really go up.
So it's more like a word of mouth type of thing, right? You guys have your own little inner circle of dog walkers and spread like,
Yeah, it's sort of being spread that way. And Nathan, I wanted you to elaborate, because we talked a bit about this in yesterday's class. You mentioned that you people ask for things and then you develop them and see what's working and what doesn't. If you could kind of describe that process and how you're thinking about developing additional competencies for the app.
Yeah, so one of the big things that, kind of in general startup kind of circles, I guess, is this whole idea of, kind of testing and iterating and kind of validating your ideas before you actually go out and create a whole thing. So, for example, on the calendar, I did underestimate the amount of effort to do that, but besides that, basically we had received emails about people saying, hey, it'd be great like if there was a way for us to kind of schedule walks and see it, specifically today to a certain day, instead of before it used to be very general where it was just like, hey, I walked this dog on Tuesday, Thursday at 2 p.m., and that was all they could do. So we kind of, we had the idea of doing the calendar, but when people started emailing us and specifically asking for that feature, we knew it was worth a couple months worth of development for us to make it. But for other things, there's lots of little things, like actually in the version that's out there today that we're actually going to kill in the next version, like some of the vet stuff, like the shortcuts to getting to a vet for like navigation and everything. So I had these icons in there that I thought would be really helpful, but people don't go to the vet that often, and we want to prioritize the other shortcuts that people are really going to use. So we didn't see much usage in those, but we did see a lot in like the navigation to the specific dog's house, for example. So kind of our mentality is how quickly and how easily can we test something? You know, it might be completely fake, or like, you know, a really rough example is I make a button that says something and I see how many people actually click on it, even though it doesn't go anywhere. I might just say, hey, you know, this feature's coming soon. And that was basically like their vote to say, yep, it's worth our time to invest in it. So we're really all about ideas that can be easily tested. And if we do find an idea that really works, then, you know, we spend as much time as we can to make that feature awesome. So.
Okay, we had some other questions.
So my question was, if you had to generalize your target market, so if you had to kind of pick the ideal person who you'd want to use Walker, kind of just for our research purposes, to get an idea of what they would look like. So like, would there be city dwelling, male, female, maybe like an age range? I know you said it was really broad, but is there maybe more of one type of person? And also, have you thought of linking up with any of those certification programs where you kind of get a lot of dog walkers channeled through there? I feel like that'd be a good way for people to see your app.
Yeah, so I think, and Nate jump in too, but kind of the target for us would be city, probably more city, anywhere from 25 to 40 is probably the range, the more common range of age that I saw in dog walkers. And people that are kind of the smaller dog walking business owners right now would find the app most useful. The really large companies, we may not quite be there just yet, but eventually we will be. As far as, yeah, the certification programs, all that stuff would be really good for us to get connected with, and we haven't yet. Right now, I'm on like Facebook groups for San Francisco dog walkers, so I post it there, but that's pretty much the extent of the connections that we're doing right now, which needs to change as we continue to build the product.
Yeah, and I would say, I mean, one of the big things is we need a dog walker that's somewhat tech savvy. You know, somebody that's, you know, stuck in their ways, they don't have a smartphone, they're probably not going to go buy a smartphone just for this app. So I think we need to be realistic about that. And I think, yeah, I mean, the higher density of people are definitely in cities that are, you know, need dog walks, and where there's a lot of dog walkers that are, you know, trying to innovate and, you know, be a little bit better than the other person or be able to provide something unique to the customer. So I think that those are definitely key markets for us.
Okay, there had been another question.
I don't have a question.
Are you good now? All right.
Would you guys think of integrating also with other applications, like so that if it could be linked with like other apps in order to just kind of streamline it into yours? Like,
yeah, I think the pay might need to be linked, right, Nate? And then if we could link with like Fitbit or Whistle, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, we'd want to, I mean, for sure. Like, for example, like we have a dog and I threw a Fitbit on his collar and I can see how many steps he takes per day. And, you know, Fitbit has an open source, you know, APIs that we could link up to and basically use that data. So I think stuff like that there's a ton of opportunity there, you know, to kind of be part of a bigger platform, you know, because you get the dog walker in there and you get the owner that's like, oh, well, you know, I was using this dog walker and they used Walker and it was really cool because, you know, I could track my dog's steps. I got notifications when my dog was picked up. I mean, that's kind of the end goal would be, you know, kind of like when you go to a restaurant and you see a Yelp sticker, you know, I want people like dog owners to ask for Walker, you know, like, oh, I heard, you know, there's this app Walker, do you use it? You know, and that kind of be like the limiting factor for dog walkers. Just because we provide so much value to the owner and the walker themselves. And so I think those platforms are perfect ways to give us different opportunities that, you know, using an Excel sheet or another service may not. So yeah, those are great places.
And Nathan, you mentioned that you're unrolling a new update for the app. Could you describe some of its new functionalities and the things that you've added?
Yeah, absolutely. And I can screen share and I can show you guys the app actually if you guys want to see the newest version of it.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
All right.
I got extra credit for being really loud and excited. Yay!
All
Okay, good, it didn't break.
right. Can you guys see that at all?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay. All right. So the new app that we're working on. So the green version was kind of my first attempt before we got a designer on board. So in the last couple of months, and I don't know how much history Emily kind of gave you of the company, but we've got a full-time designer now, and he's really helping us out just to try to like look at it from a little bit more from the user's perspective and to make it look a little bit more polished. So we're really excited with kind of some of these new features that we're doing. So with this next release, it's really no new specific features, although I'll show you one. It's really more of just a reskinning and a rebranding of Walker itself. So this is the calendar view. We went ahead and stripped out a few things from the one you see today. But in this view, what we wanted to do was organize it a little bit more like people see native iOS calendars. When you click on the dog, we're going to kind of use this area to start bubbling up kind of like the quick features that people would use. So right now, you can click this and get to details of the dog. But eventually what we'd like to do is, basically bubble out the like pickup. So like in here, I have these pickup and drop off buttons, which people can hit, and that sends a text message to the owner. Because I think Emily covered this, but dog owners are kind of crazy, and they want to know everything about their dog at all times. And so we were making it super easy because if you envision kind of a dog walker with 4 or 5 dogs, and they're trying to do something like this is a really it's kind of 2 taps, and it automatically populates a text message to the owner, so they know like when their dog was picked up, which is kind of cool. And I drop in the name and all kinds of different stuff to make it really easy. But that would be something that we would bubble up here. So like, in a typical day of the dog walker, I'm 9 a.m. I click on Leslie and I can easily do something here. So this is a great opportunity to bubble some more stuff up. And then we also added this piece here. So what we had in the version that's out right now is like, let's say you have a walk that repeats for weeks or months. If they want, like let's say that dog goes on vacation and you want to cancel just a specific walk, right now the app doesn't support that. So with this, we're able to cancel a specific walk. It's not actually hooked up right now, but if I click that, basically you would see a little action sheet come up down here, and it would be just like canceling like a series in your calendar. So do you want to cancel just this walk? Do you want to cancel all walks for this dog? So that's going to be a really nice feature, and that was something we actually got a request from somebody in the UK about that. When I released it, I was like, we really needed to add that in there, but to my mentality of getting stuff out there quickly and trying to learn, I went ahead and shipped it. And then the first email I got was somebody saying, unless you can do this, I don't know why I would use this app. So it definitely validated the need to add it. That piece, and then for the dog details, you can see, we just basically redid a lot of this. There's still a few icons that I still need to find some places for. And you can see actually what we did up here. Sorry, let me go back here. So we bubbled out all the quick links here. So like if I want directions to that dog, I don't actually know where it's going to put me, but basically this will launch the Google, either Apple Maps or Google Maps, depending on what you have installed on your phone. And then there's also the opportunity to call the owner, which will automatically start a call, and then text the owner, which is, just kind of starts the text message with them using all the native apps that are on the iPhone already. So.
It's similar to like if you're in Yelp and you want to call a restaurant, you hit the restaurant button, phone number button, and then it links through. to your
Yeah.
fountain.
Yeah.
So this is in a simulator, so I don't actually know what it's going to do with. Yes. So.
Another thing that we've talked about is using pick up and drop off buttons to actually help us better track walks. So, for instance, when I had somebody working underneath me, I found out later that occasionally they were shortchanging the walks they were giving the dogs, which is bad for my brand and my business, right? So as the dog business owner, then if you had employees, that'd be information you want to see. Are they picking up the dogs and dropping them off when they're supposed to? And that could help with billing.
Okay, so you're thinking as companies might scale up and include employees, there'd be a functionality to tracking when the dogs were picked up and dropped off.
Yeah.
We talked about this, I don't know if anyone was going to ask, but regarding GPS. And so does Walker have a GPS functionality? And how is that, how are you thinking about that?
Yeah, so right now we've talked about it, and other apps do have it. And I think I mentioned yesterday that it's kind of controversial in the dog walking community. Dog walkers do tend to be somewhat culturally subversive. They don't like feeling watched by the man. They're probably not reporting all their income even. So having owners be able to track them, they might feel uncomfortable with that. Also, if you're picking up dogs at multiple locations, a dog owner that happened to be crazy maybe could figure out where your other clients are living, or what they would do with that information, I don't really know. But yeah, so there's some concern around there. So there's something to be sensitive about there. But there's, if they have Whistle or any of those other products, they can track the dog anyhow. But there's been a lot of talk in the dog walking community about using GPS.
Yeah, I would say, there's other ways that we can use GPS besides just mapping the walk. And so those are some of the things that we're looking at with, actually with the pickup and drop off. One thing that we want to do, to be even smarter is, well, this isn't a good example, but, typically we would have their street address, so we know where the dog lives. So what we can do is we set up a geofence around that dog's house. And when the walker actually, gets in with that proximity that we set up of that walk, we can prompt a notification to the walker that says, "Hey, are you picking up Dexter?" And they can just click yes. So now we've alleviated, the step of launching the app, clicking pick up, and and that whole piece. And so it just kind of gets smarter. And then on the flip side, to the dog owner, we can actually, that's more assurance that the walker was actually at their house. And so that's another way that we can use GPS that kind of makes everybody happy, but it's not necessarily exposing, where the walker exactly went.
You have a question, yeah?
Yeah, just out of curiosity, because I know in advertising, the branding of color is association. And I do like the version 2 one better, but do you guys have that as a reason for the change, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, purple has some deeper meaning. Do you remember, Nate, did Dan say that purple stood for something, or did he just like the color?
No, so there are a couple reasons. So the green version that we originally went with, that it's a pretty harsh green in the designer's world. So one direction that I insisted on when he was redesigning it was I didn't really care what color it was, but I didn't want it to be blue.
It looks blue on the screen, but it's purple actually. It looks blue right now.
Yeah, it's like a purpley blue. Because there's so many blue apps like Facebook and LinkedIn, and there's just a million apps on your screen that look blue. So with the green, it really stood out, and so I wanted to make sure that we kept that. But besides that, part of this, when it comes to the designers and making them happy and everything, it's good to give them some flexibility. So I think there are some studies you can do, and there's some colors that you can associate with different things. But I kind of wanted him to, feel invested, so I went ahead and let him choose whatever color he wanted, except blue.
Hey, what other questions?
Who do you guys see as your competitors?
Yeah, I mean, there's, I don't know if, Emily, you covered any of this, but, so I mean, a lot of people will say WAG might be a competitor, and actually I think if you type in dog walking, WAG pops up at the very top of the search. But WAG does something a little bit different, you know, with them kind of being the real-time, on-the-spot dog walker, whereas we are just trying to give independent dog walkers the tools that they need to really do their job better and stay competitive against apps like Walker or like WAG. So one of the apps that I would actually consider more of a competitor than WAG is called Pocket Suite. So Pocket Suite is a spin-off of NetSuite, which is like a much bigger company that a lot of larger corporations use to manage customers. And so Pocket Suite was basically taking that and putting it into the phone. So they're a mobile-only solution. And what they do is they go after everybody. So like whether you're a plumber, a housekeeper, anybody that's got an independent business and has client interaction, and they basically try to do it all. So it doesn't really matter what your business is, but they offer a lot of interesting features. But I would say what I like about Walker is that we're actually going after a very niche market for a specific reason of doing the unique things that the walker will expect. You know, the dog walker wants certain things that, you know, if you use the Pocket Suite app to do it, that it wouldn't quite be custom tailored to your business. And we think if we can really nail it with the dog walking, then it scales to multiple different businesses that would be, you know, that we could customize for those as well. But I would say Pocket Suite is definitely a big competitor, and they've clearly got some investment because you can see, or I've been monitoring them for a while, and they've, you know, their first app was really bad, and over the last couple of months they've really added some great features and stuff that, you know, we eventually would like to add to Walker. But it's kind of interesting to see them go.
They have TV ads too, so they definitely have some investors or backing.
Yeah, that's funny.
Well, as of now, obviously, the iTunes Store is like your only supplier. But do you guys plan to make this app like compatible with other devices? And also, do you guys have any partners, or like do you plan to make any other apps, like your partners or anybody a partner to this app?
Yeah, so I think I would love to be on Android. So that's kind of the next place that I'd like to go, but that takes a lot of investment, you know, just to get somebody else to come in and start building it from scratch. So I think what we want to keep doing is continue to validate everything on iOS and make sure that that we know what we're doing, and then once we get something that we're really compelled to get out there to more people, I think then I would consider probably, you know, bringing somebody in, or actually maybe even hiring a contractor to just kind of chisel away at making the Android app.
Cool.
And I think there's actually probably a potential to do something online as well. If we really get into kind of the you know, invoicing and, you know, sending bills to customers, I think you could have a really rich experience online to kind of manage some of the more complex things, or if we're scaling to bigger dog walking, you know, companies. I think that makes sense to have some type of presence online as well.
And so, can you kind of explain like what the values of Walker as a team are, and kind of give us a sort of sense of where you see the identity of the company and the app kind of heading from where you are now?
Yeah, so we want to be, I mean, our biggest thing right now is, you know, we really just want to make the app incredibly useful to dog walkers. So, you know, I think in the other class that we talked to, you know, they brought up the idea of like, what about advertising in the app? And I think, you know, it is very easy for us to do that, but I think we don't, because it impacts the user's experience a little bit too much, and we would prefer to have people just really enjoy using the app. And some of those are the best emails that I get from the feedback, is just like, this app is awesome, it's so cool that you guys do this, it's so much better than anything else I've used. I mean, that's what really kind of keeps us going. And so I think because we follow that value, it's paid off for us, and so we're getting people that are very loyal. And so I think that'll always be a value for Walker. And I think as we go forward, we just need to kind of keep that in mind. I mean, eventually we do need to figure out a way to have it sustain itself. Even when we're making those decisions, we should still focus on what kind of got us there and make sure that we keep the dog walkers happy. And if we ever do something that's on the dog owner side as well, I mean, same values there. So that's really important to us. And just to have an app that's, you know, fun and, you know, we try to use like a very kind of fun tone when we're doing different things, or like when I reply to the emails when people will email me feedback. You know, I just try to be very, very fun and joking, and you know, because dog walking, it's actually a very cool business, and people are really passionate about it. So it's fun to kind of be able to share that voice in Walker and in the emails. So
yeah, dogs are fun.
What did you say?
It's a strain of supporting the independent business as well. So kind of really enabling people who are out there doing on their own to be more competitive as well. It's a strain of what we're about too.
Okay, so one of the values is really kind of you both are trying to speak to the needs of small businesses and help support them.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then that said, where do you eventually see, or how are you thinking about monetization? Even if it's not going to be for, you know, a year or so, say.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have a few ideas of things that we could do. I mean, we would actually really be interested in getting your guys' perspective on what you think, especially from kind of an outsider's perspective. Like, what do you think people would actually be willing to pay for? Is it something that we should look at charging the dog walker for? Is it an expense that they should pass on to the dog owner? I mean, I think these are some of the challenging questions. But there's a few ways that we've been looking at it. But I definitely, you know, I don't want to kind of give you guys anything that would kind of sway your opinion. So I'm definitely interested in hearing kind of some of your guys' opinions at the end of the project.
Hey, do you guys have any other questions right now? I guess on a final note then, if you could just identify a couple key areas that you're really interested. We have the RFP, and they've just finished their first situation analysis, but some of the key areas you're looking for information on.
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, it's just, you know, better understanding just the demographic of the people that are actually using this, and really finding out, like, what are the key pain points that we can solve with this. So I think we've addressed a couple, but I know there's a ton out there, and it's almost like, you know, if you were to follow a dog walker around for a day, and, you know, maybe they do stuff that they don't even realize is kind of a pain for them. But I mean, I guess, you know, when Emily was kind of shadowing a dog walker before she started, she was just shocked that she like walked around with this like massive Excel spreadsheet that she printed out every week and would just like scribble in all these little things. And it's like, in my mind, I'm like, wow, that's so easy to get on the phone, and, you know, there's so many opportunities where she could lose it or drop it or like write something down wrong. And so it's like little things like that maybe they don't even realize is a pain, but when they have a different way of doing it, I think that could really be huge. So trying to uncover those little things. And then also just, yeah, like as a company, like, should we be investing, like, let's say I had, you know, some money to invest or some time to invest, should I spend it more building out a new Android app, or should I spend it, you know, trying to invest in the current app and making it, you know, more feature rich? Should I start experimenting with ways to actually make money with the app? So those are kind of some of the big decisions that, you know, we have to make as we decide what to spend our time on. So it'd be interesting to kind of hear what you guys think about that.
Okay, any final questions, things that you want answered, or have they kind of covered where you're ready to build out from this meeting? Okay, then thank you guys so much for your time and for joining us.
Thank you guys.
Thank you guys. We're super excited. We can't wait to see what you come up with. So good luck.
All right, you'll see us again in a few weeks.
Woo!
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.